People have now been charged in Dane County following a break-in of Ridglan Farms back in March. A criminal complaint explains a group of animal rights activists broke into the dog breeding facility after the group cut through a chain-link fence with a barbed wire at the top. The complaint says the group targeted 3 buildings, damaging the doors. 22 dogs were also taken from the facility, and a majority of the activists were from all over the United States. 35 of the 50 were from out of state. These are in addition to 4 suspects that previously pleaded guilty to their charges earlier this year. All 51 people are now facing charges, including burglary as party to a crime and felony damage to property as party to a crime.